Hey guys, Mitch here. It's September 24th. I've been home for about a month and a half now, give or take. I've kind of just been adjusting, transitioning back into normal life, getting a job, you know, just really getting the feel of things back home, which is weird, which I'll go over not this video, but the next video, which is what I want to preface this by saying that a lot of people have been asking me to make a video about not necessarily post-trail depression, because that is a big term that people use, but kind of the life after trail, kind of what I've been feeling, what the transition has been like. And I will be making one of those videos soon. But today I want to talk about kind of the life on the trail, because just in this past month I've just had some questions that would never have occurred to me to ask, because I did so much research on this trail. I did 2 years worth of research that I knew everything there was to know, or so I thought anyway. And so people really just don't know. Like they think you're killing your food out there and you're living off the land and stuff like that, and that's just not the case. And while that's totally understandable, because they just don't know. I'm from Mississippi. People have never even heard of this thing. So I'm going to just make a video today talking about what I learned on the trail, kind of giving some tips, just that sort of thing. And then next video, I will be making a life after trail video, so stay tuned for that. I'm just going to jump right into it here by saying that the AT was definitely the best thing that I've ever done in my life. Best decision, hands down, ever. I'm only 18, I'll be turning 19 Monday, so it's not like I had that many years to do anything extraordinary, but this was the best decision ever. And if you're thinking about doing it, the only advice I can give you is do it. Research it and go do it. And anybody that completed their thru hike, all the friends that I know, everybody that I summited with, will tell you the exact same thing. It was an awesome decision to make. It was just the best thing I've ever done. Would highly recommend it to anybody, because it was great. Next. So this is a big one. Before I went on the trail, I had this perception that the AT was going to be all fun and games, right? I said this in a few of my videos on the trail, that my incentive and my motivation to go out and hike the AT was that I loved camping. I grew up in Mississippi. I went out into the woods and camped with my friends and just goofed around and, I don't know, did what boys did. And that's what got me out there. I'm going to go camp every night. It's going to be so much fun. And it was, but I want to go over that it's not like that. It's not what I thought it was going to be. You're not getting to camp at 1 o'clock every day and setting up camp and hanging out with your buddies and roasting hot dogs over the fire and telling jokes and whatnot. I mean, you got that sometimes, but a lot of the times you roll into camp and you're tired. You could be wet because it was raining all day, which I will go over in just a second, because that's another big point I have, is the rain. And you're just, it's hard to explain, but it's not what I thought it was anyway. You're hiking all day and you're getting to camp and you're going to sleep, because that's all I wanted to do when I got there. I cooked and I went to sleep. Of course, you hang out a little while and you talk and you tell stories of what happened during the day, because most of the time you're hiking alone. Anyway, that for me anyway, I was hiking most of the time. I was hiking by myself, and you meet up with people during camp. But camp's not like a camping trip you take specifically to go camping. You're not going out to this campground and setting up and just hanging out all day reading a book or just goofing off. Like, you're hiking, and that's what you're there for. And I learned that kind of the hard way, but I learned to love it, and I'm glad I did. It was great. What's next? I kind of just hit this, but the realization that when that actually hits you, that a lot of the time, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer here, but I'm not going to say it sucked, but a lot of the times it's not fun. Like, it's really not. For me anyway, it wasn't. Okay, I'm not going to give a percentage or anything, but sometimes it's hot, it's raining, it's whatever the circumstance may be. I said this in one of my videos in Pennsylvania, because I was just having a horrible day, that it's just, you get into your head and maybe you're tired physically, mentally, both. It doesn't matter. You're just not having a good day. And that happens more often than you would think. It's not fun. You're there and you're just like, man, this sucks. I have to get to this place tonight. I have to stop here and get water. I have to hike into town. Like, it was just stuff like that. And it's just, it's not all fun and games like I thought it was going to be. And I guess I'm glad it wasn't, because it turned out to be awesome. That's just something you learn along the way, and I wanted to cover that because I didn't want anybody to go into this thinking that, like I did, it was just going to be like a fairy tale. It's not, because you're hiking and you're working hard every single day. But, and I said this in the video in Pennsylvania, those days that you're down and not feeling good, not feeling it, I never thought about quitting, but for anybody who thinks about quitting and doesn't, that's what makes those days, that's what makes the good days even better. It was just, you could push through it, and if you're having a good day, you look back and say, man, that day sucked, but I got through it, and you're good to go. And that to me was the biggest motivation out of anything, really. You can push through, you can tell your mind and your body just to keep going and deal with what's at hand right now, and you'll get past it. And it turned out great. So, because the days that you do have that are awesome. That's all I gotta say. Tips. I kind of went over all my points there, but I'm just gonna give some tips real quickly. A lot of people I met on the trail were trying to save money, and I was too at some points, but I had a pretty good cushion to where I could do basically whatever I wanted to do, honestly. So I'm going to talk about towns and hostels and that sort of thing. You could see some people missing towns because they had to save money, and I did that towards the end when I figured I could come home with some and maybe do something else after the AT with the remaining money that I had. But people at the beginning, they would just skip right through towns. And to me, this is just my opinion here. This whole video is based on my opinion, is that the towns and the hostels and the environment of the AT, kind of the community, the hiker community along the trail was what made it kind of what it was. It was really important for me anyway to see the towns, get to know the people in them, and really just experience something totally different. Not just hike all the time like I just talked about. I thought they were really important. And then that being said, the people that were going right through them had to save money, and you can save money that way. If you don't feel like a town's for you, or if you want to skip every other one, you can save a lot of money doing that. You go in, resupply, camp outside of town or something, and keep going. You're going to save money that way. You really are. It's an easy way to save money too. But I, along with a lot of other people, pretty much went into every single one and got food and stayed in a hostel or stayed in a hotel room. And like I just said, because I thought it was important. I thought it was really cool to see stuff like that. So you can kind of put together when you're out there, if you're on a money crunch, when to go in, when not to, just whatever you really think is best. That's my opinion on that. That's my tip on that. Okay, and I said I was going to talk about the rain. I'll try not to talk too long about it, but I think y'all already know my opinion on the rain. It made a lot of people quit this year. We had a really rough season this year. We had 16 out of 19 days of rain in May, I believe, and we were in Virginia. I mean, it just rained and rained and rained and rained, and it did not stop raining, and we did 20 miles every day in the rain. That's the days where you just put in your headphones, put on your rain gear, if you even use your rain gear. At that point, I don't think I used mine anymore, and just walk all day with your head down, just trying to get through one day after another. As I said, it made so many people this year quit because it just gets in your head. You get down, you get gloomy, it's just not fun. Jacob and I were able to just see through that and get past it. For some reason, we talked about it, it really just did not bother us that much. And now when I look back on it, when people ask me about that time, it's really kind of interesting to me, is that I kind of turned that couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks out. Like, I don't really remember it that well. I just remember that I just walked every day and kind of was in my own head. It just didn't really get to me like it got to a bunch of other people. I was able to push through it, and that's what enabled me to keep going. A lot of people it didn't. So my tip is to learn to love the rain, because it's gonna rain on you. You can't get out of it, and it's just you're gonna have to find something inside yourself to keep pushing and just keep going, because that's all you really can do, to be honest. You might have a break, you might not. It might be too cold to stop. You'll figure that all out along the way, but I'm just telling you, you're gonna encounter rain. You're gonna have to hike through the rain. So get used to it. Maybe test your gear and whatnot, and that's maybe my next point. It's actually my second one, but I'll do that one now. Your gear. I met a lot of people on the trail that didn't have a clue about their gear. Like, they started off and they said that I have a few people, I don't remember their names, that told me that they set up their tent one time in their backyard. Once again, my opinion. Personally, that does not make any sense to me at all. I tested my gear thoroughly, all of it. I went camping with all of it. I went on a pre-hike in Alabama. I used every scrap of my gear before I went on the trail so that I knew it wouldn't fail. Because people were out in the rain and their rain jackets wouldn't work. Mine stopped working after a while, but it just, you don't want to have a failure of gear on the trail while you're out there, because that's just another way to get yourself down and get your mind set on maybe not pushing that day, maybe getting off for a day and maybe a week and then going home. It's not what you want. So test your gear, research your gear, get the right stuff. It's important. What's next? I've listened. Okay. This one's just kind of from my standpoint, from the injury I had in Georgia. My knee was blown out, and I'm not going to go into all the details, but the doctor told me that I needed to go home. So he was like, "You can't hike. You need to go home. Blah blah blah. No more. Go home." And so I freaked out. Nah, I'm not going home. Can't do that. Blah blah blah. My point being there is that you really need to listen to your body. I was idiotic and did not listen to my knee, freaking out, and hiked on it and just completely blew it out. That was dumb. Shouldn't have done that. If I wouldn't have done that, I would have been 6 days ahead. I should have played it smart, but I was just overly ambitious in the beginning and wanted to keep going and keep going. And that's where it ended me up in the hospital for 6 days. Luckily, I was able to keep going, but I should have listened to my body, and that's my tip, is that your body will tell you what it needs, whether it means like a pain, you need to rest, whether it means something that you're craving. That happened to me a lot on the trail. My biggest thing going into town was like iron, or hamburgers, excuse me. I just need a huge burger, and I needed that iron in there. My body was telling me that I needed that by making me crave a burger. Other people craved salads, they needed the greens, they needed the vitamins and whatnot. Pretty much everybody craved a milkshake, but that's just because they're delicious. And it's just your body's going to let you know out there when you're relying solely on your body as the machine that gets you through every single day. It's going to tell you exactly what you need, whether you need rest, you need a certain type of food, you need something to drink, whatever it may be. Listen to your body and not doctors, because they're going to tell you to go home. Don't go home. What's next? Is that it? I think that's it. Kind of ended abruptly and unofficially, but that's it. I can't think of anything else to go over with you guys. That's really just my take on the AT in a few short points. Of course, I've already talked for 14 minutes, but I could ramble about this for 3 hours if I needed to. There's so much to go over. There's so much to think about. There's so much to learn. And where that comes in is your research. Like I said earlier in the video, I did 2 years or a year and a half worth of research on this and learned all I possibly could through reading and videos and whatnot. And then when you get out there, you learn your own way. I mean, you learn through actual experiences what's best for you and what the trail is really like. But I hope that my take on kind of the trail through this video will help answer some questions any of you may have, just really anything like that. If you have any questions at all after this video, you can just comment below and I'll be sure to get back to you. And I think that's pretty much it. My next video will be coming pretty soon, maybe within the next week. It's going to be about life after the trail, maybe what I've been going through and how the transition has been. I'll leave it at kind of a cliffhanger and say that it's been odd. It's been a pretty weird transition. I'm not gonna say difficult exactly, but it's definitely been weird. and I'll go over that in the next video. So if y'all have any questions you want specifically answered for that video, comment in this one or message me or something. If you want them answered in the next video, I'll write them down and go over them in the next one. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.